Hello, everybody, and welcome. Here we are, Thursday again. I'm really excited to be here with you all today. And for those of you that are in the snow belt, I hope you survived all the snow and are able to get out of your driveways. I am actually in Salida, Colorado, in the mountains, and boy, did we get hit. I mean, it's gorgeous, but ooh, it was negative 15 last night. Really, really chilly. And we've got tons of powder. It's just and super sunny today. So it's quite incredible. Anyway, I'm really excited to have Christina join me today. And let me just kind of give you a little bit of an overview in terms of what we're going to be talking about. So, this is Christina DeFranco, and so good to have you, Christina. I'm really
Thank you
excited.
so much for having me, Leslie. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to our chat today. Now, Christina and I have actually communicated a lot over the past, what, 6, 8 months or so,
Yeah, it's been a while.
but we've never actually met. So this is actually the first time that we've chatted basically face to face. So it'll be really great. So, Christine, I'm really excited about what she has to bring to the table. We are going to talk about the psychology of branding and marketing. I absolutely love this topic, and I think you will too. So, today is about how consumer psychology can actually change your brand and using the psychodynamics of your ideal client to get more leads. So, it's going to be really fascinating. So, let me give you a quick overview of what we're going to cover more specifically. So, today we're going to talk about how to utilize consumer psychology and how that can transform how you connect with potential clients, and and how these connections equal conversions, which is amazing. We'll be talking about how marketing is really about evoking emotion and leaving a memorable impression. And then intentionally creating a brand and website using consumer psychology throughout the design and copy will not only get you more leads, but qualified leads. And guys, this is so key. We don't want just any old leads. We want the right people, the right fit clients coming to our site who are actually aligned with you and are actually considered your dream clients. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Before we jump in, I do want to remind everybody I have a very awesome 4-day event coming up. We're starting on, actually, I'm going to show the URL if you guys can see that. Let's see.
Nice.
There we go. LeslieBytel.com/MSI for multiple streams income, which isn't that what we all want? Multiple streams of income. So, guys, be sure to save your seat. Next week, we're going to do a live 4-day event from the 7th, Monday, through the 10th, Thursday. And I'll be going live every single day, teaching you all kinds of the ins and outs of creating multiple streams of income. And, guys, you're going to walk away from this event with your very own multiple streams of income plan in place, ready for you to implement. So make sure you sign up. LeslieBytel.com/MSI. And I can't wait to see you there. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So, Christina, why don't we start by, could you just tell us a little bit about how you, just your story, how you evolved into this position that you're in?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with everyone today. My background educationally is in psychology and kinesiology. And so I actually began my journey of entrepreneurship by launching my first business, which is a virtual wellness studio. So I still have that company. I'm still in that business each and every day. But through building that, I really realized that so many people have a story to share. So many people have so many gifts and talents that we need to bring forward that can help other people. So I said, how can I make that easier? How can I give people the information I wish I had have known sooner when I was starting my first business? And so that's why I've launched this second company, which is all about business consulting, design, website, copywriting, and really getting clear for entrepreneurs in the online space on how we can reach the right people, the people that will really benefit with what we have to say and share. And so I'm really passionate about this topic that we're going to be diving into today because consumer psychology is so important. What I see a lot of online entrepreneurs doing is leading with their heart and wanting to create impact, which is amazing. But there's that other side to the soul piece of strategy. And how do we use strategy in copywriting and in marketing to really connect with the right people? Because when we lead and are able to connect with our audience and potential consumers, that's when we see the greatest conversions. And it's conversions with people we really want to work with people that we can truly help and that light us up and fulfill us in what we're doing. So that's a little bit about my background and kind of how I fell in love with this topic. So I'm really excited to dive in.
What a unique background, psychology. And did I hear you say
Kinesiology.
theology? Okay.
Movement.
Okay, got it. So
Yeah.
basically, okay, that's super interesting. Very interesting that you ended up honing those skills into copywriting,
Yes.
which is super cool.
Yeah, I think it's imperative. I really started out with graphic design work, logos, websites, and I realized that there's so much more to it. Like you need the right brand colors that connect with your audience, but you need to also understand your ideal client avatar and then also be able to communicate it effectively. When we can integrate all of those pieces, that's when I find we have the most success.
Okay, that is super cool. So let's dig in. Let's start. I'd love for you to define psychodynamics
Mhm.
and maybe elaborate a little bit about how we identify them in our ideal client.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great place to start. As I'm sure many of you listening may have heard of in regards to your ideal client, demographics, right? Our demographics are what is our ideal client's age? Where might they live? Do they have a job? What job do they have? Do they have kids? Are they a mom? So we typically learn what our demographic is of our ideal client. But what about the psychographics? And that is the cognitive and psychological contributions to their makeup as a human being. So it goes beyond just what is their age, where do they live, all of those things that are also important, but really starts to look at what are their values,
Mhm.
what are their beliefs, what do they really contribute their purchasing decisions towards? And I think that's so key because when we can understand the psychodemographics of our clients, we can lead when create copy and captions and content that really connects with them, that really hits home, and it allows us to understand their pain point more. I think we talk about in business all the time, like you need to serve the pain point, right? So, in order to do that, we have to really get a little deeper. So, okay, for a mom, maybe she can't make all the healthy meals because she's run off her feet with work and kids. But she's so much more than a mom. Like, how does that make her feel? Is she guilty? Does she feel shame around not being able to make those healthy meals? And those kind of psychology factors also help us to then understand as marketers what language we can use to really allow them to see the point. Meaning, if you're trying to sell a meal plan for fast and simple recipes, it's not just a meal plan for fast and simple recipes. How do we use language around allow yourself to feed your kids healthy meals on the go quickly? And some simple, small language changes that we can make really can change the difference in how it's perceived and received by the consumer. So, how do we really identify these psychodemographics, right? So,
Question.
demographics can be a little easier, right? We're just like, okay, well, I was 20 when this problem happened, so I'm going to work with 20-year-olds. Okay, great. But going deeper, psychodemographics takes a little bit more thought, a little bit more of a deeper understanding. So, my favorite ways to do this is to analyze and maybe even interview past clients. So, if you've worked with people in the past, kind of really ask them, where were you when you started? Like before you came to me? What were your thoughts, your feelings, beliefs? Did that change? Did that shift during your transformation working with me? Have they stayed the same? What does that really look like? We can also use market research. So if you're in the nutrition industry, right, if you're a dietitian, looking at other dietitians and research that has been done around people working with dietitians, and okay, I know that this person's a big player in the food field. What are they talking about? Who are they talking to? Who's in their comment sections? And starting to really hone in on who those people are. And then by doing that, you can also look at your website analytics. So if you have a website up, who are the people coming to your website? It goes deeper by looking at what they're engaging with. So if they're staying on a page of your website for a long time, what is that page about? Are they a mom, and what are they looking at? Like, is it a blog post about a certain topic that can tell you a little bit more about the way they think, how they resonate with it? If you have a blog post about emotional eating go crazy and it's like the most traffic you've ever seen, well, that tells you a lot of your consumers or potential clients really connect with emotional eating. And then you, from your expertise, can dial back into, okay, what do people think and feel that struggle with emotional eating? What is a pain point they have around that? So this information marketing is so helpful because it can motivate people to really purchase something, right? If it's based in their needs and you can meet them where they're at, then that's when you start to make the sale.
So it's really digging in to the feelings.
Yeah, because it's all about evoking emotion. Emotion is why people buy.
Mm.
And so there's lots of reasons why people buy, but it's a big one. And if you can tap into that, especially if you're in a service-based space or kind of like a transformational space, that can be really key.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about consumer psychology. Can you give us a definition? What is it exactly?
Yeah, great. So consumer psychology is so interesting. It's essentially the study of our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our perceptions, and how those factors influence what we buy and how we interact with different products and services. So let me give you an example just to make it super clear because that's a little bit wordy, right? If someone was watching their mom grow up and their mom was doing a fad diet after a fad diet after a fad diet, they may be resistant to following a meal plan that a dietitian creates because for them, subconsciously, they may be feeling, oh, it's another diet that never worked for my mom. It made her grumpy. It made her angry. I don't want to experience that. So if you can identify that that is your consumer's mindset ahead of time, when you're marketing something, you can address those concerns up front. So it may look like something about saying, whether it's in your copy or in a video or a sales page, saying, listen, we both know fad diets don't work, and that's not what this is. This is a long-term solution that's going to get you real results over time. I'm not here to give you a quick fix. And by really addressing that consumer's internal fear, whether it's subconscious for them or conscious, usually it's subconscious, we immediately negate that concern and have a much higher chance of converting that person into a client. So it's really looking at what are the thoughts, the feelings, the perceptions that people viewing our content, viewing our sales pages, reading our emails have coming into it.
I love that. And almost trying to, I don't know, even do a brainstorm of what might prevent them from purchasing, right?
Yes,
What are those
exactly.
maybe hidden objections that they're grappling with? Like you said, either conscious or subconscious.
Mhm.
And I think, at least based on what you're saying, if we can elaborate on those in our sales copy, it can really help move things forward.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting when it ties consumer psychology to psychographics because one of the main factors of psychographics is who makes the purchasing decisions. When we look
Ah,
at demographics, it's income. Okay, but depending on the dynamic of a relationship and your ideal client, maybe they're married, maybe they're single, maybe they live with their family, who makes the purchasing decisions? Is it a group decision? Do they have full independence? What is their mindset around money? Because that all impacts sales too. So that's when we peel back that layer of just surface level demographics and really go deeper, because the more you can address those concerns, understand them, empathize with them, the more likely they are to trust and connect with you. And we're going to say it again, connection leads to conversions. We love it.
That's really, really true. And especially on an emotional level.
Yeah.
Like just it's so important. So, all right. So once we've identified the psychodynamics of our ideal client and we have a better understanding of consumer psychology, how do we actually what do we do with it? How do we actually implement that, in our businesses? What would you say?
There's many different ways. So one thing that consumer psychology and psychographics, like once you figure it out, one thing that's really crucial is you'll see all this clarity, right? When you speak to that one person rather than everyone, it's
Yeah.
clearly communicating your offer. And the clearer you can be to your consumer, the less confused they will be, because confused consumers never convert. They need clarity, they need trust.
Yes.
Another thing you can do is really use this information to inform your pain point, right? Sometimes our pain point might just be, okay, they want to lose weight, but it goes so much deeper. When you look at the psychographics, when you really see, oh, like they have trauma of their mom doing a bunch of fad diets, right? And when you look at that, that then changes the development of their pain point and how you speak to their pain point. And then it really helps them feel seen and heard. When you talk about how they may be feeling right now and how it may be holding them back. So, for example, if they have lower back pain and you're here to fix their low back pain, saying something more than just, I'm here to fix your low back pain, and allowing it to paint a picture of, do you want to run and play with your kids outside? Like, how fun would that feel to go to the park with them and run up and down the play structure and go down the slide, right? So it's painting that picture of something that they can't do now because of their pain point, and really showing them that through the journey you're going to take them on, where they can be in a real visual, visceral experience. Like, allow them to emotionally get there within when you're talking about your offer, when you're writing about it. Because when you can empathize, creates connection. And then lastly, it's really just when you know your ideal client in this level, in this depth, what it allows you to do is understand if they're an emotional buyer. Are they an impulse buyer? Do you need to host 3 webinars to finally get them to convert? What is their purchasing decision history? Like, how do they interact as a purchaser, as a consumer in the world? And the clearer you can get on that, the more your marketing strategy can reflect what they need. If they're an impulse buyer, you need to get up a sales page and put a countdown on and go, go, go. But if they need connection, if they need safety, then you have to really be able to draw that out. Like, you have to then support them in steps. Like, maybe you're launching a freebie and then you're doing a webinar and then you're nurturing them on an email list and then they'll convert. It's really different depending on the consumer's purchasing decisions.
Okay. So, I'm just wondering how do you ascertain this, like this kind of a data, because like within an ideal client, like within a niche, there's so much variability, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, there's a ton of variability, and
yeah.
it's important to really understand that, but there's themes, there's
Okay.
threads, and the more people you work with in your niche, the easier it becomes to pull those out. So, for example, like, what is a limiting belief that you're seeing time and time again with your clients? That leads to a psychographic. It leads to a psychological factor that's linked within them, because it's all a mindset. So what is that same mindset that they're all coming to you with, right? Like, oh, I can't lose weight. Oh, I've tried every diet. Okay, these are things that they're saying, that they're feeling. And then, okay, if they're saying the words, I've tried everything, nothing works. What is that feeling? Frustration,
Right.
anger, pain, right? And how do we speak to that emotion then? Like, I know in your copy, right? Going, I know that this is so frustrating. You've tried
Mm.
everything. I've been there, I've done that, sharing your story or a client's story to help that social proof. And then taking it a step further to really explain the process and show how it's different. How is it not the same? So it definitely gets easier when you have clients and you can really see that. But until that point, like maybe you're not there yet, maybe you've only had a few clients, really look at other people's comment section. So go to those big players. What are those people saying? When they're on Instagram stories and someone puts up a question box, what questions are they getting over and over again? Because that's a reoccurring pain point. And then from your standpoint, you have to extract the emotion from that, right? So what are they saying and what does it really mean? Because it's two different things.
Okay. So interesting.
Yeah.
So what would you say is, a good starting point for our viewers today? Like what would you recommend as I would say many people, in fact, I'd love to get some feedback. Who actually has a website? Who is updating copy? Give me a sense of where you guys are.
Yeah.
And because what I'd like to do is I'd like for you to be able to walk away from today just with an action step or two. How's that sound, Christina? Sound like
Yeah,
a
I
good
think that's excellent. Yeah, so definitely give us some feedback, guys. Let us know, do you have a website? Are you on socials? Like, where are you really hanging out and learning about your clients a lot? Because that can be really helpful for me to give you some guidance. But the first step, like if you have clients, is can you just sit down, like find a moment of stillness, a moment of silence, as I like to say, and jot down some ideas of what are common themes you've seen? What is everyone saying? What are some common pain points, problems that you're seeing? And then using that to then draw out an emotion. So we know a lot more than we think we do when it comes to our clients, because a lot of us have been in their shoes or have seen it in other clients that we've worked with. And so can you pull out that emotion and then speak to it in your copy, in your content, in your stories, whatever you're creating?
I love that. So we have a question. Hey, Eileen, how are you? Christina, how can we find these emotions and fears of our ideal clients? Kind of similar to what we're talking about now, right? I know we'd ask our actual clients, but wondering for our prospective clients. So do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, so it's similar to what I've been saying, but what I
Hmm.
wanna encourage you is that there's a real big overlap with your current clients and prospective clients if you look from the perspective of where your current client was when they started with you. So that's the difference. They may be in a totally different space now, especially if they've been working with you and you've been able to help them.
Mhm.
But where were they when they came to you? Maybe you have a form, an intake form. Maybe you have a DM conversation you had with them. Maybe you went back and forth with emails. Can you look at those and what's coming across for them or to you from them in those messages? What are they feeling? What are they concerned about? Because a lot of people, before they work with you, they may express concerns. They may ask questions. So if that's the case for you, what are they asking? And then, okay, maybe they're commenting on the price of your program. So that's a mindset block around money. Who's the purchasing decision in the household? Do they make the decision? What is their income, right? So you're starting to peel back different layers. And then it's really becomes a little bit of a tracking almost. You'll see these threads between all of the clients, whether they're current or prospective. If you're in if you're following your niche, your ideal client. If you're trying to speak to everyone, you're not going to see these, right? And so I encourage you then to maybe go a little bit more narrow first and then really speak to these people. Hope
So
that
good.
helps. If you have more questions, definitely let us know.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Beth.
Oh,
That's
thank you, Beth.
nice.
That's so sweet. I appreciate it.
I knew Christine would be a great fit for today. So thanks for that. Okay, Stacy. So Stacy says,
Go.
hey, Stacy, welcome. So Stacy has a website and she has Instagram.
Mhm.
It's
Awesome.
awesome. Hey,
No
Jean,
one's
how are
there.
you? So Jean does not yet have a website. So Jean, we're just trying to get a sense of where everybody
Yeah.
is.
Jean, are you on socials? Maybe let us know. because socials is, I mean, you're probably on Facebook because you're commenting from Facebook.
Yeah,
So actually, can I share a tidbit for that then?
you
What I would
bet.
like to do, like maybe you're not on Instagram. I don't know. You can let us know, Jean, but go into Facebook groups. Have you
Yeah.
tried that for market research? Because that's phenomenal. People will openly share. So like, I don't know, like I'm gonna give an example, like a weight loss group. Okay. You're not going in there, you're just going in there to lurk. I like to just lurk, just kind of watch a little bit. What are people talking about? Right? What are people seeking help around? And oftentimes they'll share a little bit of their story in these Facebook groups, and you can really actually get a sense of their emotion and how they're feeling. So, Facebook groups are a great place, even if you're just going to browse, to look, to get a sense of what people are talking about. It's all market research, and that
Good.
can be a great tool to help inform what you're creating and putting out there.
Mhm. It's really interesting to do that. I've done that myself. I mean, even like just as an example, I personally don't have Lyme disease, but or and haven't as far as I know. But somehow I got intrigued with this Facebook group. It was Lyme, it was like a support group
Yeah.
in Illinois, right? And I got in the group and I was just curious about, what their experience was. And oh my gosh, it is like a gold mine of market research. It's
Yeah.
insane. You can see all the stuff they're trying, all the money they're wasting.
Yeah.
It is insane. So I think that is a really, really awesome tip. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, and you can even like, and
Groups,
I
yeah.
love that when you say like all the things they're trying, especially if you have a transformational kind of product or service, like
Mhm.
speak to that. I know in your copy, you can be like, I know you've tried X, Y, and Z, and
Yeah,
probably a million other things. Here's why mine's different.
right.
And then really use that to help people.
Yeah, it's just a gold mine, seriously.
Love
So,
it.
yeah, I think a great action step for today, guys, would be to do a search, look for some Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And Facebook groups are a little tricky nowadays. You can't really go in and I
Yeah.
guess it depends. Like they all have different rules. So check out the
Yes.
rules. You may not be able to promote your stuff. Maybe, some of them allow you to share a link for a free
Mhm.
download, or, like your lead magnet on a weekly basis or something like that. But if anything else, just do it to gather data. And so you
Mhm.
can go deeper and really begin to understand the magnitude of
Yeah.
the struggle. So like Christina said, we're digging deeper. One way I like to look at it, guys, is try to figure out when you do your research, what are they missing out on? What
Mhm.
can they not do, be, or have? Like, how is this problem holding them back? And
Yeah.
then how can your services move them forward? And as a result, like not only what's the transformation, but how do their lives change as a result of the transformation? So it is really digging a little deeper. And I
Yeah.
think that is where the magic happens. Um, so Stacy works with people, oncology. So before, after, and during cancer treatment. Okay. And then, so she has a good awareness. They fear foods because they don't want the
Yes.
cancer back. So I'll bet
Mhm.
there's a lot of fear, and a lot of confusion because, you know, just go on the internet, right? And it'll tell you all kinds of conflicting information.
Mhm.
It's a really
Yeah,
good.
it's a great emotion to pull out and really speak to. Because what you should be doing, Stacey, and I don't know if you're doing this already, but like your content needs to be reflecting that then. Like, how do we speak to food should not be feared, even when it is, in a very empathetic way? How do we address that concern, that scarcity? How do we address it with our content so that we can bring them back to a place where they see food as medicine that will nourish them and heal them and the work that you're doing. So really, once you find that emotion, because Stacey, you have, use it in your content to keep speaking to that, to raise awareness, to build trust, and almost like convert them in a sense to understanding your principles, like understanding your process. Why should they believe in it? Why should they trust you over their fear? And that's a process, right? It takes time.
And I love that that transformation from viewing food as kind of the enemy to viewing
Yeah.
food as medicine.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Okay. Yeah, awesome. Glad that
Nice.
helps.
Good.
Um, oh yeah. So, hey
Mhm.
Beth. So this is super interesting. So can you speak about a baby boomer purchasing mindset?
Yeah. This is really interesting because I think what a lot of people assume is that baby boomers and older generations don't want to purchase things online because it's not how they grew up. It's not how their purchasing decision was initially started. That wasn't their buying process. But the world is shifting and they're shifting with it more than you think. I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but there's a very large percentage of baby boomers that are making online purchases and that are really starting to see the value in the online space much more than we're giving credit for. However, I do think with the baby boomer purchasing mindset, what we've seen more and more is they are less impulse buyers and more long term conversions. So, if you're working with that demographic, you may be more so looking at that long term plan I mentioned. How do you nurture them in an email sequence? How do you host a webinar and really starting to do things that kind of create this roadmap, this little journey you're going to take them on before they'll convert. And listen, it may seem easier if people are impulse buyers or emotional buyers because they may seem like they convert quicker. But once you have this process set up in your business, it's constantly going. So you're not going to be like, oh, I'm never going to get any sales until 3 months later after I've done all this work. It's continuously evolving. People are coming in, new people are coming in, they'll convert later. New people are coming in, they'll convert later, but it'll be a cycle once you actually have it going. But looking at more of a nurture campaign, nurture sequence, and retargeting. Once they've liked a freebie or done an opt in, they're showing interest, but they're not ready to buy yet because they don't like putting their credit card on the internet. How do we keep nurturing them and retargeting them so that they are ready? It's like a non negotiable. They can't say no because they need it so bad.
Mm. Great, really great question.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. So Jean doesn't have any sites.
So it has a few mentions there. I'm a
But
member of
she,
some of the Facebook groups. Good.
okay, so she could do that. Awesome.
Mhm.
Okay. Hey Delia. So companies do this type of research. I worked in a bank in their marketing research department doing research on consumer behavior.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, this is right up your alley then,
Yeah,
right?
we get along. Yeah,
So
massive
good.
companies do that, and I'm trying to encourage us as small entrepreneurs, as maybe solopreneurs or small business owners to do it too, because it's
Yeah.
just as helpful for
It's
us.
just so powerful. So yeah, we
Yeah.
should be doing it too. Absolutely. Okay, so what if a person or ethnicity group has the belief that their chronic illness or problem is genetic and therefore unwilling to change their eating habits? Interesting.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So I think there's a few things with that. One piece is really like, okay, is that the target market then? Like if you're targeting an ethnicity group that their whole culture, their whole belief system is built around not believing this, you're in an uphill battle, which is fine. If that's what you want to tackle, that's okay. But first of all, it's looking at, is that the right market? Is that needed there? Is that like, are you seeing some people trickle over and getting positive results, or is it like you're just trying to change a whole trajectory? Because that's an uphill battle. However, if that's the route you want to take, if maybe you're in that ethnic group and you saw it worked for you, even though it went against your beliefs, and you want to help others do the same, um, really looking at sharing stories. You need social proof. And not just your own, like more. And so it's really hard to change people's beliefs. It's more so when we look at consumer psychology, what are their beliefs and meeting them at their belief. So you would have to do a lot of work around deconstructing and kind of unlearning some things that may be incorrect or are no longer scientifically accurate, and reaffirming for them what our research shows us or what we know to be true because of X, Y, and Z, or the proof we've seen, and like really show that through case studies. So it's an uphill battle. It's a lot of work. That's a tough one to really break through. But if you're really passionate about it, it's a lot of helping people deconstruct and unlearn, and it's one stepping stone at a time. I hope that helps you. It's hard.
I think that's a really great answer, Christina. Absolutely. So my question to Delia would be, do you have, potential, do you have a backup plan, right? Because this is going to take a while. It's like swimming upstream,
Yeah.
right? So, and one of the things that I talk about in my work with clients is really the definition of an ideal client, right?
Mhm.
Or maybe a different way, like a profitable niche.
Yeah.
And a couple of the ones that the things that I can mention right now, a couple of the variables would include, do they know they have the problem?
Mhm.
And are they in a place where they want to do something about it? Are they motivated to fix it? So really, that is kind of the underpinning of what I would consider to be an ideal client. Now, you
Right.
can also have these like these other groups that you're working on, right? Um,
Exactly.
like maybe this is your passion, this subset of people who is extremely resistant
Mhm.
to the idea of change because they're blaming it on their genetics, right?
Yeah.
So, so just from a business standpoint,
Mhm.
I would just say, ideally, certainly you could continue to nurture that group, but it is going to be kind of like swimming upstream. So it could
Yeah.
take a really long time before you're able to turn things around. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I think also what's really important to understand, and maybe that's in the type of content you start to create, is the learning around your genetic problem
Mhm.
and your eating habits are not mutually exclusive, meaning you could have a genetic condition and your eating habits could still help
Right.
reduce pain, feel better. It's not going to say your genetic condition is going to disappear. And that's not the language we're using. Instead, we're going to do language like reduce pain, create or cultivate a community of people that understand you. Like starting to shift maybe the offer a little bit to really help people meet them where they're at in terms of, okay, like we have this, it's a genetic condition, we know it exists, we're not going to get rid of it, but we're going to feel better. We're going to live our best life by food, by eating this certain way. And it's not going to get rid of it, but we're going to have a higher quality of life. We're going to feel better. We're going to be happier, whatever that looks like, whatever your, based on your psychodemographics of your person,
Yeah.
what it looks like in terms of their pain point. So I think maybe it's a lot of learning. Like you got to teach, teach, teach.
Yeah, I love that. And I would just say the other thing is that within this demographic, there's a lot of variance, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it would be probably unfair for us to kind of pigeonhole everybody in that same group, right? So, so I think that, my recommendation would be to nurture those that feel like it's a genetic condition and, are kind of hanging their hat on that, right? You want to continue to educate. But in the meantime, I would really go after the subset of people within that niche that are like, okay, I do want to live my best life. I do want to do what I can to like, have lots of energy and, be able to do the things that I want to do in my life. Right. So, so that would be my recommendation, but such an interesting topic. Thank you for bringing that up. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
it.
great. But you can't help people that don't want to be helped. So
Really can't.
don't hold that responsibility, right? As
Oh,
long, even though you know the benefits, even though you know it works and helps, if people don't want help, you can't help them. So
it's so
don't hold that responsibility and just keep sharing your truth and your beliefs, and it'll
oh, that's
be
so
good.
good. Okay. Okay, but it's genetic. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that can be really frustrating. I would just, that's,
Change that narrative for them.
yeah, change the narrative. And then I would just say that's probably not your ideal client,
Yeah,
right?
you're profitable. I love what you said, your profitable client. It could be
Exactly.
a passion project, but it's not your profitable client, and consider that.
Exactly. I love it. Oh my gosh, so helpful. So as we begin to wrap up today, what do you have for us? I think you had mentioned, Christina, that you have like a brand new, I think you said ebook for everybody.
Yes. Yeah. So I literally just put it out today, especially for you guys, because I knew it would be so helpful. So it is the top 2 copywriting frameworks in the marketing space for online entrepreneurs. Let me break that down just a little bit for you. So whether you're writing emails, landing pages, websites, content, like simply just a social media caption or a story, there's different frameworks you can use that really evoke emotion in consumers. And especially if you do the work we've talked about today and the market research to learn about those psychodemographics in tandem with the demographics, you can use that information in these copywriting strategies that are in the ebook to write really compelling and emotion evoking captions, emails, all of that good stuff. So it's completely free. The link is on the screen here. It is case sensitive. I learned that the hard way, so make sure you do your capitals. But I'd love for you guys to go ahead and grab that. And if you guys find it useful, let me know. If you have questions, connect with me over on IG. I'm always there and happy to answer any questions.
So good. I'm going to grab it myself, guys. So highly recommend. So it's a bit.ly link, copy with Christina. And again, that is case sensitive. So make sure you put the capitals in. Awesome. Sounds great. And then I do want to remind everybody to make sure you grab your seat. So we are going to have such an awesome week next week. I am going to teach you how to generate multiple streams of income within your business. And guys, let's just face it, just like a healthy diet, you are not relying on one food, right? A healthy plate equals a variety. Same for your business. So we want to have a variety of revenue streams. And, many of you are starting with one-on-one, which is great. Eventually, we want to build out those other levels. I'm going to teach you a concept called the profit pyramid, which is basically, it's a schematic where, I show you the different levels of revenue inside of a business, and you're going to walk away with your own profit pyramid filled out. Okay. So it's almost like a business plan. So I'm really excited to share all of that with you. Just make sure you save your spot, lesliebytel.com/MSI. And I will see you on Monday the 7th. That's when we kick things off. So really excited about that. All right. So this has been awesome. So awesome. Thank you, Christina. This was just incredible. I know that everyone got a ton of value. And yeah, so great. Thanks, Cynthia.
Thanks, Cynthia.
This has been so helpful. So guys, be sure to grab the ebook. Let me put her link on there one more time in case you missed it before. bit.ly/copy with Christina, and make sure you do the capital letters there because it is case sensitive. All right. So have a wonderful rest of your day, an awesome weekend, and we will see you same place, same time next week. Bye for now.